Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om 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 Surabhyaya Namaha
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 Mukam karoti basalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our ongoing Bhagavatam class, Canto number 1, chapter 2, entitled Divinity and Divine Service. Today text number 8. Dharmaha Swanustitaha Pumsam Vivakshena Kathasu Yaha Nutpadayad Yadi Ratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam Dharma Sanustita Pumsam Vivakshena Katha Suyaha Nutpadayat Yadi Ratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam Dharma Sanustita Pumsam Vishvakshena Katha Suyaha Nutpadayat Yadi Ratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam Dharma Sanustita Pumsam Vivakshena Katha Suyaha Nutpadayat Yadi Ratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam
Dharma Swanusthita Pumsam Vishvakasena Katha Suyaha Notpadayet Yadiratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam Dharma Swanusthita Pumsam Vishvakasena Katha Suyaha Notpadayet Yadiratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam
Dharma Swanusthita
Pumsam
Vishvaksena Katha
Suyaha
Notpadayet Yadiratim Srama Eva Hi Kevalam
Dharma Occupation Swanustitaha Executed in terms of one's position, of one's own position, Pumsam of humankind, Vishvakshena, the personality of Godhead, plenary portion, Kathasu.
Kathasu.
In the message of.
The message of
Yaha.
Yah.
What is.
What is
Na.
na.
Not.
Not.
Utpadayat.
Utpadayat.
Does produce.
Thus produce.
Yadi.
Yadi.
If. Ratim.
Ratim.
Attraction.
Attraction.
Sramaha.
Srama.
Useless labor.
Useless labor.
Eva.
Eva.
Only.
Only.
He. Certainly.
Certainly.
Kevalam.
Kevalam.
Entirely.
Entirely.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
We should mention that actually today, due to some other engagement, we will be having a little shorter class, and we have to basically end the class at 5:45, and leave a few minutes for any possible questions. So it's a 2-page purport also. Everyone should be attentive. So purport, there are different occupational activities in terms of man's different conceptions of life. To the gross materialist who cannot see anything beyond the gross material body, there is nothing beyond the senses. Therefore, his occupational activities are limited to concentrated and extended selfishness. Concentrated selfishness centers around the personal body. This is generally seen amongst the lower animals. Extended selfishness is manifested in human society and centers around the family, society, community, nation, and world with a view to gross bodily comfort. Above these gross materialists are the mental speculators who hover aloft in the mental spheres, and their occupational duties involve making poetry and philosophy or propagating some ism with the same aim of selfishness limited to the body and the mind. But above the body and mind is a dormant spirit soul, whose absence from the body makes the whole range of bodily and mental selfishness completely null and void. But less intelligent people have no information of the needs of the spirit soul. Because foolish people have no information of the soul and how it is beyond the purview of the body and mind, they are not satisfied in the performance of their occupational duties. The question of the satisfaction of the self is raised herein. The self is beyond the gross body and subtle mind. He is the potent, active principle of the body and mind. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with emolument of the body and mind. The body and the mind are but superfluous outer coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. The need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. He wants to get out of the cupboard walls of the great universe. He wants to see the free light and the spirit. That complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the personality of Godhead. There is a dormant affection for God within everyone. Spiritual existence is manifested through the gross body and mind in the form of perverted affection for gross and subtle matter. Therefore, we have to engage ourselves in occupational engagements that will evoke our divine consciousness. This is possible only by hearing and chanting the divine activities of the Supreme Lord. And any occupational activity which does not help one to achieve attachment for hearing and chanting the transcendental message of Godhead is said herein to be simply a waste of time. This is because other occupational duties, whatever ism they may belong to, cannot give liberation to the soul. Even the activities of the Salvationists are considered to be useless because of their failure to pick up the fountainhead of all liberties. The gross materialist can practically see that his material gain is limited only to time and space, either in this world or in the next. Even if he goes up to the Svargaloka, he will find no permanent abode for his hankering soul. The hankering soul must be satisfied by the perfect scientific process of perfect devotional service. Translation again. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So this means actually that all activities that we perform in the material world, if they are not performed for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna, if they are not connected with the Supreme Lord, they will not bring the type of satisfaction that we are all longing for. Everyone is seeking happiness. That we can observe very easily. Everyone is trying to make so many arrangements to avoid unhappiness, isn't it? We try to avoid suffering. No one likes to suffer. Rather, we like a comfortable situation. That is because being happy and enjoying is the constitutional position of the spirit soul. In the various answers that Prabhupada would give whenever he would be asked questions, and of course Prabhupada very often would be asked questions not only by devotees, but when he would travel to different countries, newspaper reporters, they had all kinds of questions. Some intelligent questions, but a lot of them not very intelligent questions. This was an intelligent question. The one reporter was asking Swamiji, what is the purpose of life? Good question, right? Then Prabhupada, this time, he would answer to the same question. You would never know what he would reply, because Prabhupada was totally transcendental, and he knew exactly what to reply. So to this particular individual who asked the question, Prabhupada said, the purpose of life is to enjoy. He was very happy with that message. But Prabhupada was, of course, referring to the real transcendental, unending enjoyment that awaits an individual who is actually in knowledge, in transcendental knowledge, and who engages in activities of devotional service. And that is why in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse number 2, you can look it up. Raja Vidya Raja Goyam Pavitram Idam Utamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. And the exact translation from the book is,
This knowledge is the king of education.
this knowledge is the king of education,
The most secret of all secrets.
the most secret of all secrets.
It is the purest knowledge.
It is the purest, everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Very good. Thank you. So joyfully performed activities of bhakti. That is why so often our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, would boldly declare there is no happiness in the material world. What we think or take to be happiness is not actually happiness, in that it is not fulfilling our inner need of constant, continuous, never-ending happiness, isn't it? So this message here in the purport or in the verse is that any activity which is performed which does not bring us on that higher realm, which does not awaken our our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is simply a waste of time. So how many people are wasting their time in the material world? We've all been wasting, all of us have been wasting our time through all the different, I mean, it's only in the human form of life, that's another thing, of course, and it's only in the human form of life that we can actually awaken that appreciation or dormant love for Krishna. That's why sometimes people ask whether animals create karma. What's the answer? No. But what do they do with karma? Nothing. They live out their karma. They, according to their previous activities, they have so much amount of happiness in that particular body and so much amount of distress or suffering. We also have, in the human form of life, until and unless we come in contact with devotees or with the process of Krishna consciousness, we also have our dose of, good and bad, happiness and distress. But the big difference is that we can put an end to that karma. We can wash away. We can actually begin with what is called a clean slate. We can start from no karma. Yeah, by taking up the process of devotional service, by taking shelter of the holy name, by taking shelter of the spiritual master, we can we can have, that's why it's called a dvija, second birth. We have a second chance, isn't it? There's a book, right? Second chance. So otherwise we have no chance. Otherwise, what we call karmis, those who are totally on the bodily materialistic platform, all of their activities are selfish, either on the, as mentioned in the purport, immediate sense gratification or extended sense gratification, disconnected completely with what our life is meant to be. Means knowing our very close and intimate connection on the level of the soul with the super soul, or with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why in the Shastra, when it speaks about Jagya, Jagya has to do with prescribed duties. And prescribed duties are those duties outlined in the Shastra that connect us. Even though they may be material duties. We have all kinds of material duties. If one is a father, he has responsibility for his wife and children. Whatever position, if one is a leader in a village or a leader in a country, he has to protect the citizens. And those are, of course, in these four main categories. If one is primarily a spiritualist, a spiritual person, Brahmana, then he has obligation to share knowledge, to give knowledge to those who don't have knowledge, and because they don't have knowledge, they will simply continue to suffer in the material world. So prescribed duties are more easily understood actually when we refer to how they are defined in the Shastra. And that's why the whole concept and system of Varna and Asrama is very nicely, very clearly defining the four main categories, the four main Varnas or occupational duties, within which are sub, like a Brahmana can be a teacher, a Brahmana can be a priest on the altar, a Brahmana can be simply chanting mantras, a Brahmana can be cooking, so many things. Same for a Kshatriya, and like that. So the clear message here is that when one is fortunate to come in contact with the process of devotional service, when one is fortunate to come in contact with transcendental knowledge, then one has that opportunity to make one's life meaningful and, of course, successful. The success of life is to reconnect with Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead, putting an end completely to all of our suffering in the material world. We have 5 minutes exactly for any comments or questions on this. You've come just in time to look at the screen. We did mention that we're ending a little earlier today.
If time allows,
this could Maharaj explain concept of plenary portion and example. It's in the word by word translation of today's verse.
Explain the concept of plenary portion, and then example, and then
it's in the word by word translation.
It's in the word by word translation. Yes.
In today's verse.
Just like we are all expansions of Krishna, but we're not plenary portions. The jiva, living entity, is referred to as amsha. Mamai vangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. We are the amsha. Amsha means part and parcel. Plenary portions are different incarnations of the Lord, just like the Vishnu incarnations. There are different types of incarnations also. So Vishnu, like Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, Narayana form is plenary expansion of the Lord, and the Lord expands in so many incarnations that are described actually in the Bhagavatam. So there are, in this way, it is nicely explained actually by Srila Rupa Goswami that the plenary expansions of the Lord, they have up to, out of 64 qualities, the Lord has 64 qualities that are nicely outlined in the Nectar of Devotion. These plenary portions are on the same platform, same level of the Lord, but they only display 60 of those 64 qualities. And it is mentioned by our acharyas, another Bhagavatam class going on. There are four, what are the four unique and only displayed by Krishna? You are entitled to one answer. I mean, to say one of them if you know them. You should raise your right hand, not left hand. Okay. Yeah. What is one of the four unique qualities that is only found in Krishna, not in any of his Vishnu or other plenary expansions?
Venu Madhuri.
Ah. And for those who don't understand Sanskrit, flute. Yes. Venu Madhuri. He is enchanting the whole world with the playing of his flute. Of course, Stoka Krishna is trying to pick up on that, but he'll never reach that platform. Flute playing. Somebody was sharing a small video. That was a standard for cowherd boys. Isn't it? Krishna was not the only one actually carrying a flute. But whenever he would play the flute, I mean, the whole of Vrindavan would come to a complete standstill. The ears of the cows would go like this and stay like that. And I mean, the cows would totally become, what is it? Stationless, stunned actually. And all of the residents of Vrindavan, including, it is explained how the Yamuna would fall in ecstasy and would stop flowing. That's quite impressive. Okay, very good. Another quality, 3 more are there. Yes.
Rupa Madhuri.
Rupa Madhuri. Rupa Madhuri. And in English that means Rupa, form. Krishna has the most attractive form. That's why the word Krishna means all attractive. I mean, Narayan is very nice also. No offense. But Krishna is the most attractive. Yeah. Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, and then 2 more. We have only 2 minutes. The same 2 have their hands up. I know it's okay since nobody else has it. Yes.
Leela Madhuri.
Leela Madhuri. Leela, yes. Leela, pastimes. Krishna performs unparalleled pastimes. His activities are unique and can not be imitated or surpassed. And that's why he is attracting the whole universe by his pastimes, especially his pastimes in Vrindavan. Yeah. Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, and 1 more Madhuri.
Bhakta Madhuri.
Bhakta. Yes. Krishna has the most amazing of transcendental associates. He is surrounded by personalities that are out of this world. Krishna himself is out of the world, of course. So yes, he performs his pastime. When he comes in the material world, he surrounds himself by associates who bring him all kinds of transcendental pleasures and happiness. Yeah.
Good question.
So, if there's any other question, we will have to keep it for tomorrow. And we will have to close today due to our other engagement. So thank you all very much. Jai Canto Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaura Pimanandi Hare Krishna.